The moment you enter the greenhouse yard, you're surrounded by plants, herbs, flowers, and butterflies. You smell natural scents from soap and food dishes people are making themselves. It's not just for fun. They're helping the environment too. And now, they'd like your help to expand their impact far beyond the little house with a big mission.
Aloha, I'm Betty Gearen, and welcome to the greenhouse. My first career, I was an artist, and I needed to make money, so I became a teacher. And I love teaching, and I found that even though I didn't know that I loved teaching, it became something that I am very passionate about. I studied here at University of Hawaii, but my parents were in the military, so I lived all over. They went on and I stayed, and I'm so happy I did. So in 2004, the state of our environment was very disturbing to me. So I joined the Sierra Club, and they were looking for somebody that could lead some classes on sustainability. So I said, I'll do it, and we started once a month having people come and doing classes like composting, but we were doing composting in containers, on a table, in a room. Everything was in a tiny space where no hands-on. So we just decided to come to our house and do it at our house.
I'm Carla Meek, and I'm the program director here at the greenhouse. So I help with curriculum development and coordinating many of our programs. I help teach with the eco camps for the keiki, and then I also help coordinate and teach sometimes for our Saturday workshops. I'm from Indiana, and I went to school at Purdue University and got a degree in kinesiology and movement and sports science. So I kind of stumbled into getting into environmental education and sustainability. My husband's originally from here, so we moved back to be close to family here. I lived in California in the Bay Area before we moved here, and I started working with environmental education organizations there, and it just became connected with me. It just became a passion of mine. When I moved here to Hawaii, I started volunteering with the Sierra Club, and then that's where I met Betty Gearen. So the greenhouse has a lot of programs for all ages. We have our Saturday workshops. We do those about twice a month, and they can range from plant walks to soap making to reuse arts and crafts. And then we also have cooking classes for adults, and that's cooking from the garden, so trying to use things that we're growing in the garden, both herbs and other edibles to cook with.
I decided to take all of my grass out and slowly begin to have a useful yard. So everything in my yard became either for paper making, for medicinals, or for food to eat. So it had to have some use to be in the yard. And so that's how it started. I got very involved in organic gardening, which I hadn't been before. And so that transformed into offering classes in organic gardening. When we first got our house, we remodeled it. We were very poor. So we used as much recycled materials as we could. Our dining room, we have glass from a house that was being torn down at Punahou. Our floors in our studio came from the bleachers at Punahou School, and a lot of our fixtures came from Goodwill. So we were always interested in recycling and reusing.
The greenhouse is really unique because what we're doing is showcasing it as an urban model for sustainable living. So the actual house has a lot of features that are very green and sustainable. It's completely solar panel up on the top, so a complete PV system. They also have rain barrels to catch the rain and use that to water the gardens here. They have an outdoor shower. So when someone takes a shower outside, then that runoff from the shower goes into the garden that's growing right there. A lot of people have heard our butterflies are kind of endangered or having a hard time. Habitat loss, pesticide use, just like some other pollinators like the bees. So we have a lot of plants here at the greenhouse in our garden that are host plants, and they are in the milkweed family for the monarch butterfly. They don't normally have a lot of predators on the mainland, but here for some reason there's this bird called the bobo that's able to eat them. So we've been rescuing them. When the kids come for their eco camps or other classes, they're able to help us. We rescue the caterpillars off the leaves, and then we put them in our butterfly cage and raise them and then let them go when they come out as a butterfly.
What we are doing is working with nature instead of against nature. So if you're using a pesticide, you're actually working against nature's balance. So we found that going back to nature has created fewer problems for growing food, for living more naturally. For instance, I don't get sick anymore. I clean with my own cleaners. I let there be a few germs in my house that instead of trying to make everything antibiotic, anti-everything, we work with the germs and we let the germs be there. We just keep the surfaces clean. And what's left is the microbes and the biome that we need to be healthy.
There are so many people in Hawaii that don't own a place that they could create a garden. But the thing that we teach them about, and that they can learn from other resources too, is that they can actually grow food in smaller amounts, in containers, in buckets, in pots. Even if you live in a condo or an apartment, you can do it on your lanai. You can get a community garden space and grow food. So we want to give people alternatives and possibilities. We want to still inspire them to grow food however they can, to still do these eco arts and crafts, and to also try to cook from the garden too.
So we've been doing cooking classes, and right now we have a wonderful teacher that has been helping us for the last year. We try to keep our classes fresh. So cooking is natural because every time she creates new recipes, then old people can come back, new people can join in.
We are doing a lot of plant walks that have been happening at the Makiki Nature area. And then we also have been doing plant walks at the Poly Lookout area. So people can go and attend these plant walks and learn about identifying plants that are edible or medicinal. Most of the times these plants are looked at like weeds, and so people don't notice them and don't think anything about it, so they can go and learn about that. And then we also have keiki eco camps, and those are really great. Great opportunity for the kids to come and be outdoors and explore outdoors. And those happen during school breaks. So that's fall break, winter break, spring break, and then summer break. We offer quite a few separate keiki eco camps that happen in June and July and in August before school starts again in the fall.
So the greenhouse has outgrown itself. We are a tiny little house and a tiny little space. For instance, we have eco camps. We have to turn people away because we can only take between 12 and 15 children. It's been a benefit to have intimate classes, but more and more people want to be part of what we're doing. So we need to find a different space to move the greenhouse. We would love to have a space somewhere in the urban environment because we're talking about what you can do if you live in the city to be sustainable. It's easier if you're living in the country, but if you're living in the city, how can you grow food? How can you eat locally? How can you live naturally? So if we could find a space in the urban setting where we could move what we do here, that would be our goal so that we could grow our programs. Our ideal space would have a building that was big enough to have a reuse store. It would be big enough to have a gardening section where we could, a little bit of green space where we could do gardening. And it would be a space where we can do our cooking classes. So we are working on a fundraiser that would help us towards our goal. And we're also writing grants to help us make that big leap. So right now, we're talking to a few people that might help fund us, and we are planning our fundraiser. So if there's anybody that wants to become a volunteer or anybody that wants to get involved in our mission, we would love it. So we never envisioned it would be growing like this. We were thinking it was just a way to teach a few people about sustainability, but as it has grown, we have gone out into schools. We have had school groups come here. We have taught at old folks' homes. We've really expanded the mission, but it just felt like we were just doing it for a few of our friends in the beginning. And now it's been thousands of people.